Now, role of ABAP is there are various changes to repo. Now, what is a repo? A repo is where the code resides, okay, or modules are
अस्सलाम वालेकुम सर,
made,
आवाज़ आ रही है?
modules are made and stored. Integration code is stored. So an ABAP makes changes to repository. Second role of ABAP is um, object change. Object change can be report format change or screen coding or logic building. Okay. And an ABAP makes extensions for functional modules. Now, what is extensions? For example, in production planning module, there is an additional step. For example, if you're talking about tire industry, there might be an additional step to create a clone of the tire, but from the scrap. So the management wants that this clone is not to be costed, but it should be costed separate. So ABAP will create a separate cost sheet. For example, I'm just giving an example. It's not necessary that we will be required to do this. Okay. Customer development. This is another part where, for example, customer development is your customer wants to lock and track sales of their product. Okay, your customer is your client. So sales reps go to their customers to log sales, and they should have an iPad. The code to integrate SAP will be developed by ABAP. Okay. Fifth is enhancements. Enhancements are improvements. Improvements of functional module or reports or integrations and so on. Sixth is modifications. Modification is you change reports or you build reports or you create screens, additional screens. Additional screens. Now, what is additional screens? For example, in material management, ME21N is the purchase order. So the client says, I want to have a PO, purchase order transaction, where a certain material, which is often ordered without any checks, audit, and releases. So he wants a PO that releases automatically because they are buying the material from their sister concern. Okay. So you will make a PO of ME21N. This is the transaction you will make. Z ME21N. Okay. This is modification. Okay. Now, the problem with modifications is it is overwritten by system upgrades. Okay. For example, I'll write a program. I'll write a program like Z demo, or let's say it's P51 instrument.
सर ये आप हमें एक्सप्लेन भी करेंगे मतलब कि मजीद स्कोप क्योंकि
Data B result type I parameters underscore field one type I P underscore field two type I B underscore result is equal to P. So field one into P field two, right? V underscore result. So this is a very simple program that I've written. Report is how ABAP programs start with automatically by default by standard, because we're using keyboard SC38. Okay, it will automatically generate the title report, and this is the title I have chosen, which will be the name of that program. Data. Now, what is the data? This is a keyword of SAP, and I'm telling that this is a variable p underscore result, which will have data of which type? Integer. Okay, and then I'm giving an input field here, parameters. This is parameters means this is where input will be taken in which field? In field one and field two. So when I write P, this is a practice. That means P for parameters, and field one will be used for parameters. P again is parameters. It's just a practice, not a standard, but a practice. So parameters will be input parameters, and every SAP statement ends with a full stop. But you can continue, but when you have to end a logic, it has to end with a full stop. But you can give comma when you are building the logic. Now, V result type I is the data container, a variable, which will capture the multiplication of two parameter fields, P field one and two, and then it will write the calculation of multiplication, and V result, and write is the output syntax of SAP. Okay, simple. Yeah. So there are other programs in SAP. This was what we actually did here is just a simple program or a report. But in SAP, there are other programs as well, like function mode. Okay. Or include programs, okay, or enhancement programs or custom programs. So there is no limit in SAP, okay, uh, when it comes to making these. Wow, what is function module? Basically, a function module, as I told you, ME21, and you want to clone it and make your own. You'll make your own function that will be Z ME21. And include programs are what? Now, include programs is this. For example, let's take the example of Z21N. When you're making Z ME21N, you will include a internal program which will pull or give a condition that only a certain material, like for example, 60 ply grade plastic bag. Now, this is something your sister company is making. Sister company is making. So, this program ZME21N will only pass and approve. ZME21N will only approve material which is plastic bag, which has a code or a material number like bag 900-822. So whenever ZME21N is executed, it will only consider PB 9822. Okay, it will not. So you will apply the logic that no other material will be used other than PB 9822. Okay, so so enhancements coming to this is include program. Now include program will be this full condition. You might have written a separate conditional program where it will only hard code this material, and this will be pulled into this functional module. Okay, so that was the point. Coming to enhancements. Now, what is this? This is basically adding customer specific objects to the repo. Repo means to SAP landscape. Okay. Now, for example, let me again give an example. For example, uh, while doing GRN, what is GRN? Good receipt note. Now, what is good receipt note? It is counting of material that is received at the gate and quality check again at the gate whenever his material is sent by vendor, plus the challan or delivery note is signed, approved, checked, audited. Okay, based on which you accept material and reject some of the material and send it back from the gate. Okay, now you have put a condition with every vendor that every material batch will have a barcode, and that vendor will print the barcode on every material batch, and you have supplied vendor with that program. It can be a third-party program. So you will integrate third-party program with GRN T code of SAP. Now this is enhancement. This is because enhancement is addition of your industry or factory practice into SAP landscape. That is enhancement in simple words. Okay. Now, customer development, what is that? It is basically you create your own tables, programs, and T codes. That is customer development for your client. Your customer is your client, right? Your SAP client. Okay. So customer development programs or functional modules or um, include programs for enhancements. They actually start with Y, Y or Z. Like I created a program like Z T51, right? Or I could write YT51. Okay. Only Y and Z can be used for custom development programs. The rest all the alphabets are taken up by SAP. Okay. So now let's come to what you can make in SAP. You can make various types of applications, like reports, uh, interfaces, conversions, extensions, forms, screens, and so on. Or you can make classical or ALV or interactive reports. Okay. Like, for example, um, SAP inbound interface, which is getting data from legacy, which extract data from a database, okay, using ABAP program to extract, load, and transfer, ETL. This is the ETL technology. Okay. So, and there is SAP outbound interfaces as well, which is ABAP extracts data from SAP and loads it to another DB like weight machine or attendance machine or POS, right? That is one application that you make. Conversion programs. Next is conversion programs. Okay, now conversion programs are like SAP is converted from legacy data transfer, and then that data is transferred to SAP, which is done at go live. Okay, that is one. Extensions. Now, next is extensions. Uh, now, these are customizing objects or programs or tables or reports, which are also called user exits. Now, what are user exits? Basically, when the SAP standard mismatches with industry standard and that transaction or process is necessary. So a user exit means you exit from SAP and create your own module to connect with SAP. That is user exit. Okay. So that's one thing. Then there are various other applications that you can make. Forms is next. What is forms? Now, these are forms like SAP script forms, which are layouts, okay, based on Windows or Linux, whatever, or Apple. Okay. So again, you can also create your own screens and forms in SAP. Okay. Now, coming back to SAP. Now, what is SAP? It is a three-tier architecture. Okay. In this three-tier architecture, we have one database, single database. Okay. Uh, one presentation layer, which is the screens layer, and one is application layer, which is where the logic, the code, the repo is residing or executed. So programs are executed at client server or at DB server. Programs are executed. So one database is assigned to testing, development, and production landscape, which means by production means live database or live SAP, not production of products in on factory floor, not that production, but it is live SAP. Development is where logic is developed. Configuration. This is configuration client. Okay. And testing is testing of the configuration. Okay. So the pattern is like this. End user will use presentation layer, which is communicating through application layer with DBMS, database management systems. And that DBMS is communicating with databases. So speaking of presentation layer, what is presentation layer? It is run by SAP GUI.exe, which we have already installed right now. It helps users to enter data, and it also gets input which are passed on or transferred to application layer. Okay. So SAP GUI are of three types: for Windows, for Java environment, and for HTML, which is web GUI. Okay. So that was presentation layer. Application layer. What is that? For application layer, let me okay. Now we have application layer, which is this. And application layer, there is a dispatcher. Now, dispatcher is basically assigning request from the users through SAP, coming from through SAP GUI. And dispatcher basically assigns work processes to execute the logic. So what are work process? Work process are of different types. Dialog request, update request or background job, spool request, logical log, route messages, funnel messages. Okay. So we have dialog request is to get a report, for example. And update is to update the data in the database. Okay. A background job. Now, what is a background job? Let me tell you about background. Background job. Now, what is background job, for example? Process vendor items or invoices, which are, for example, 4,000 at the end of the year. We cannot process one by one. So you give SAP background job process in the background. Okay. Spool, this is print programs. Print your reports or anything. Logical lock requests. Logical lock means logical lock is, for example, if the purchase request is made, only after that PO will be made, not before that. So this is, so the PO will be not processed until purchase request is upgraded to the PO. So that's dependence. I'm just giving examples. Okay. Gateway. Gateway is third party software integration, and messaging is done through sockets, which are also called gateways. Okay. So this is how an ABAP dispatcher is basically working around this landscape for various work processes. Okay. So messaging server, it handles communication between dispatchers and runs between application servers. Gateway, I've told you, it's third-party integration. Internet Communication Manager is a protocol for using SAP on the HTTP cloud. Okay.